同事唔該請坐低。
All right, will members please be seated.
同事，我哋夠鐘又夠quorum， 咁我哋咧就
All right, members, so we have attained the quorum. It is about to make a start. Members, please be seated.
今日我哋舉行兩。
There are two segments to this meeting. There will be a break after the first segment, to be followed by the second segment. Just a reminder that if in dealing with today's business, if members have any direct or indirect pecuniary interests, please, in accordance with Rule 83A of the Rules of Procedure, disclose the nature of the interests. And also under Rule 84, in relation to direct pecuniary interest, there are requirements or stipulations regarding voting. Mr. Joseph Lee, meeting is in progress. Please be seated. Thank you. We are discussing paper 53, head 173. Head 170 rather. This item seeks members' approval of a total supplementary provision of $3 billion in 2012-13 under head 170 Social Welfare Department, with $3 billion million under Subhead 180 Social Security Allowance Scheme, and $7.4 million under Subhead 000 Operational Expenses for introducing the Old Age Living Allowance, an increase in the ceiling placed on the NAMs of all non-directorate posts from $1.9 billion by 23 billion dollars to $2 billion to create 19 non-directorate posts. The welfare panel was consulted before for their views. To answer members' questions, we have with us the following officials: Mr. Matthew Cheung, Secretary for Labour and Welfare; Ms. Irene Young, Deputy Secretary for Labour and Welfare; Mr. Patrick Nip, Director of Social Welfare; Mr. Fong Pak Yen, Deputy Director of Social Welfare. I'm speaking into the mic. From the corner of my eyes, I spotted someone speaking. I am speaking into the microphone. If members please cooperate with us, sit down and be there at the meeting. Thank you very much, Ms. Emily Lau, for the reminder. Mr. Fong Pak Yen, Deputy Director of Social Welfare, and Ms. Long Siu Kit, Assistant Director of Social Welfare. The Welfare Services Panel had another meeting yesterday to listen to the deputation's views regarding the OALA, Old Age Living Allowance. I'd like to call upon Ms. Chen Yun-han, Chair of the panel, to bring us up to date. All right, I am coming through now. I'm sure members are getting a little bit tired. Chairman, the Welfare Services Panel reported to members at last Friday's Finance Committee the results of the deliberations on OALA. We had a special meeting just yesterday. We received 43 deputations and individuals about their views. most of the deputations were against the stipulation of asset and income assessment. The deputations, the panel members and administration did exchange their views. At yesterday's meeting, some members felt that the deputations made it very clear their views, and the administration has also responded to their views. If members have further comments, they are welcome to air them at today's Finance Committee meeting and then take a decision on this proposal. However, most members were of the view that the Welfare Services Panel has not completed its deliberation on the proposal, and until the process has been completed, they do not think that this should be presented to the Finance Committee for voting. Also, the panel will follow up on the OALA going forward. All right, Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, before the meeting, in accordance with 37A of the Finance Committee procedure, submitted 16 motions. I have approved 13 of them for Mr. Leung. Mr. Fernando Cheung also expressed the desire to move a motion regarding the way in which the proposal is handled. And after all the questions have been exhausted, these motions will be dealt with. Each member will be given 5 minutes for questions as well as response by the administration, so that a total of 5 minutes each. Any members would like to speak? 5. Please press the button. Mr. Fernando Cheung. Chairman, thank you. As you said a moment ago, I did write to you to seek your explanation about your discretion. You wrote back to me with an explanation. I feel I find this regrettable because this old age living allowance would involve 1.2 billion taxpayers' dollars. And according to the administration's forecast, 400,000 or more senior citizens' well-being will be affected. And this will also have something to do with the entire old age retirement scheme. This has not been subject to any consultation. Normally, at the electrical panel, there would be exhaustive discussion. But unfortunately, in this case, the government repeatedly twisted the arms of LegCo and tried to ram it through. And they introduced this retrospectivity. They said that with endorsement, they would take it back to the first of this month. And today we've been having a whole all day of meetings, and this evening we still have to be stuck here for another 4 hours till 11 p.m. Myself cannot see the urgency of the matter. As long as the government is prepared to allow retrospective effect, the AJLS panel just discussed the pay rise for the judicial officers. There is retrospectivity. The pay rise for the civil servants will have retrospectivity for half a year or more. There will be no problems. But with regard to old age living allowance, the government is digging its heels in and imposing these requirements. I think the government is making life difficult for the Legislative Council. Chairman, I've got a motion under 37A of the Finance Committee procedure, and I hope that the Secretariat will pass around my motion in writing. I won't dwell on that in detail, but basically I will be reprimanding the administration for not respecting the procedural rights of the Legislative Council. Even before this is endorsed, the government is publicizing it with APIs and also all manner of publicity, and they're trying to present a fait accompli and they're threatening the LegCo that should this not be endorsed, we will be held responsible as being guilty, and this is not a good way of doing things. Until LegCo has given the endorsement, this is not public policy. You are expending taxpayers' money to mount this publicity or these tricks to threaten LegCo. Now, this proposal is presented to us. Is it the case that we will not be allowed any room for discussion? Is this going to be endorsed without any amendments, without any changes whatsoever? For you to deal with this public policy that we just started our term, and you are so overbearing, and you're not budging an inch. You're not respecting the rights of scrutiny of the Legislative Council. Before we scrutinize everything, you try to manipulate public opinion and threaten the LegCo with all these opinions, and this is wholly regrettable, and this should be reprimanded. I hope, Mr. Chairman, that this motion will be addressed as soon as possible. If I may put a question here. Now, with regard to the public publicity, how much money have you spent on publicizing the Old Age Living Allowance? And also, how much free airtime did you utilize for this purpose, and what proportion of this by comparison with the entire airtime allowed to the government for publicity? All right, perhaps I will allow 12 seconds for the Secretary. 3 questions there, Secretary, please. Chairman, thank you. Thanks very much for allowing this meeting to go ahead. As members are aware, the reason why we'd like to get on with this in such a hurry because of one factor. In the whole design of the scheme, every minute counts. We'd like to launch the scheme as soon as possible. In designing the whole thing, all the whole processes have been telescoped. Every step is closely intertwined. In the Welfare Services Panel meetings and Finance Committee meeting documents, we have made clear that we'd like to get this through Finance Committee on the 26th. And once this is endorsed, we'll activate the entire process. We hope that by March next year, this scheme will be launched. Now, not only the new applicants, there are 290,000 elderly people who are between 65 and 69 who have already made the declaration before, and by March they will effectively get the allowance. So in this process, if these 290,000 senior citizens will get the allowance, then if you work back from that time, every day would be important, because we have to upgrade the computer system, we have to write to the senior citizens, we have to collate the information, and all these will take time. Secretary, I'm not sure how long you're going to take. If you spend 10 minutes with Mr. Fernando Cheung, then it will not be good. Mr. Wong. Mr. Wong, young man, it's my turn to speak. Secretary, you haven't addressed the questions direct. You've talked about something else. But what I said is important by way of a background. We're not manipulating public opinions. Now, the reason why we have to mount publicity, because there was a lack of understanding of the scheme out there, and the senior citizens have to be made aware of the scheme, and the best way to do so would be electronic media. Now, this is airtime for the government. We have not taken away the airtime for other people, and the Information Services Department has established procedures to deal with this. So we haven't really tried to create public opinion. We're not presenting a fait accompli. We are making the senior citizens aware of the scheme. If they don't want to change the scheme, they would not stand to lose. Mr. Cheung, Well, how much money has been spent? Well, I don't think I can allow 8 minutes. Perhaps you should not leave just 10 minutes for the secretary. You can have another go later on. That should be fine. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng, please allow more time for the secretary. Do not leave a fraction of a second or something for the secretary. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng. Chairman, thank you. Chairman, on radio and television, the government mounted all these publicity. I think this is wholly despicable. The government is misleading the public. They are misleading the senior citizens. In the publicity, you're not telling the whole truth. You're merely telling the half of the truth, or fraction of the truth. It is of secondary importance whether you respect electrical, but you are telling a fraction of the truth. As a result, the senior citizens would be misled into committing an offense in future. The Mak Chai Kwong affair, the Chungking Man affair are very clear before us. 20, 30 years ago, at that time, it was pretty common, a commonplace for civil servants to rent each other's premises. It was very much a commonplace at that time. Now the government is settling score with them. Mr. Mak Chai Kwong had to resign and has to be facing judicial trial. I highlight this because I hope that the senior citizens were listening in front of the radio or television would be able to understand better. You said, Secretary, that the money given to the senior citizens by their kids will not be counted as income. You have 281,000 and 186,000 as the asset limit. Now, this is the hard-earned savings they have. Would the 200,000 given to them by their kids not counted, or how much will not be counted? I hope that this will be clearly recorded, because in future the senior citizens who are likely to be picked on will be able to defend themselves using today's conversation. Second, now you said you're going to be lenient and liberal. Now, with this, does it mean that if the senior citizens were misled by you and find themselves caught in the dragnet, then they would be able to come up with this as to self-defense? Also, you said auto pay will be very efficient once this is endorsed, and they will get the money in 2003. Because 290,000 would be able to get the money straight away because of auto pay. Now they're going to get another $1,000, double the amount of money that they're getting after 1 year. I mean, they may be addicted to the extra money, and they get more money at their disposal. In 2014, by the time they have to file their declaration, what's going to happen to the senior citizens? Now, I think you are setting a trap for the senior citizens to fall into. That by that time, how will the money be counted? Now, what about gold bars? Or what about jewelry? Or what about silverware, silver jewelry? Will they be counted? I leave enough time for the secretary to address the 3 questions that I raised. I am asking these questions on behalf of all the senior citizens in Hong Kong because they're likely to find themselves in trouble.
Mr.
Wong Kwok Heng, today's meeting will be recorded in verbatim transcript. Now, first question in relation to the upper limit for the income and assets. You people said that contribution by your children will not be counted towards part of the incomes and assets. Well, our existing practice is that the requirement will be the same as that for the OAA for elderly aged 65 to 69. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng, let Secretary answer your question. No, he hasn't been able to answer my question. Well, but if you didn't put 3 questions, if you just put 1 question, he would be able to answer you. I am chairing this meeting. Secretary. Now, in relation to children's contribution, we're looking at income on a monthly basis as well as assets. So, as far as children's contribution is concerned, this will not be counted towards income. Let's not make this up. Chairman, just this question. All right, children's contribution excluded. What about assets? How can you distinguish that as far as assets are concerned? Secretary, just a brief reply, or Director. Let me supplement. Well, this is the existing practice, and that is children's contribution will not be counted towards income. So if the upper limit is 600,000, children's contribution will be excluded from the calculation of monthly income. As for the calculation of assets, which mostly include cash, bank deposits, stocks and shares, and also other property like gold bars. And this is a clear distinction between income and assets. Chairman, am I allowed to follow up? Please wait for a second round again. Mr. Albert Ho. Chairman, it's really a pity that in the beginning of this legislative term, we're already having a huge row over these matters. The administration should give it a careful thought. If you reasonably adjust your proposal, then by and large we'll be able to reach a consensus. Well, CY Lau at first talked about a special OAA allowance, and it's simple. Elderly people aged 70 or above will be able to get an allowance of 2,200, whereas for elders below the age of 70, they'll be able to get the normal OAA, and this is already an improvement. And we agree that this is only for poverty alleviation. This cannot replace universal retirement protection scheme, and we will continue to urge the government to implement a comprehensive protection scheme. However, a special OAA could have alleviated poverty as well as helping the needy elderly. However, today what we're seeing is that for a single person, the asset limit is 186,000 and 281,000 for a married couple. We understand that funeral expenses are often quite costly. And for those that are less well off, they would like to keep their savings for this purpose, and there might also be expenses in other areas like housing and other urgent needs. And you're being so mean. Elderly people aged 70 or above are still subject to the means test. I wonder if you're really alleviating poverty. Now also, if somebody has a property worth $2 or $3 million, as long as his children give him $2,000, he can still be eligible. Whereas for those living in a cubicle or a partition flat, if he gets income from work, he won't be able to get this allowance. So for those who are property owners, if they do not have income, if they only have contribution from the children, they are eligible for this allowance. But for elderly people living in cubicle flats, because they get income from work, they are not eligible. Can you call this fair? Let's not talk about this point. Now, if you have this income test, now for those aged 70 or above, they may be incentivized into transferring their assets. Should they declare their incomes and assets, and will there be any disputes in the future when they want to get the assets back? We are very worried that in the future we might have to deal with a lot of complaints and requests for assistance. So in the end, what we say is the elderly people aged 70 or above should be exempted from the means test, and then we should work together and consider introducing a policy for the implementation of universal retirement protection. I think if we head in this direction, we can save the argument today. Secretary, is it possible? Thank you, Chairman. I understand Mr. Ho's viewpoint very clearly. Now, this is a poverty alleviation measure, and we're targeting elderly living in poverty. And Mr. Siwa Leung also said that through a simple income and asset declaration procedure, needy elderly people will be able to get an OAA amount, which is double the normal OAA amount. And actually, we are just implementing Mr. Siwa Leung's election manifesto. We're not talking about a token of respect for the elderly. We're talking about lifting elderly out of poverty. So we're actually using this cash amount to help the sandwiched elderly people who, on the one hand, might not want to get CSSA, and on the other hand, might not be able to get the full support from OAA. If people age 70 will be able to get the full amount without going through the declaration, well, what can it be done? It's just $3.7 million, $3.7 billion, Secretary. Well, my answer is very clear. We focus our valuable resources to those in genuine need. Ms. Dari Lee. I support the proposal so that the elderly poor of some 400,000 elderly people living in poverty will be able to get the allowance. But I want to say that for the access limits of 186,000 and 281,000 is not a relaxed limit. I cannot agree with that. It cannot catch up with inflation and the costly living expenses. Of course, we don't agree that for the rich in Hong Kong, like Mr. Lee Ka-sing, they should not be eligible for this OALA. But we all agree that for elderly people who have worked hard throughout their life to have some savings, they should be able to get these $2,000 as a supplement to their living expenses. So I support this proposal, and as I said in public, I urge the Commission on Poverty to follow up on this issue. So, Secretary, how will the Poverty Commission follow up on this matter? And Secretary, I urge you to adopt a scientific approach as far as the means test is concerned, so that those elderly in need will be able to get this allowance. Well, there is much debate in the community, and in order to gauge public opinion, last week the DAB conducted a telephone poll, and we successfully sought views from some 1,000 respondents, and would like to share the poll results with members. According to the poll, close to 80% of respondents agreed to the administration's proposed OALA scheme, and 9.8% and 10.6% of respondents respectively disagreed with the proposal or had no comment. Now, as for the income and assets declaration requirement, 13% had no objection, whereas 41% viewed that the income and asset declaration should be required for those aged 65 or to 69, whereas for over 70, this should be done away with. 48% of the respondents view that the asset and income limits should be increased, because the majority of respondents viewed that it was not a relaxed limit, and 33.3% found it appropriate. 5.6% felt that it should be lowered. In relation to the FC scrutiny on the administration's OALA proposal, the administration is standing by the original proposal, and the 47.5% of the respondents opine that the proposal should be approved first, 30% disagree, and 22.5% had no comment. Now, for the age group affected, that is those aged between 65 and 69, 49.8% think that the proposal should be approved first, and then 40.4% of the other age bracket, that is for elders aged 70 or above, think that the proposal should be approved first. And in order to help the 400,000 elderly people living in poverty as soon as possible, we support this proposal. So I hope the Secretary could you could tell me what you're going to do at the Commission on Poverty, so that the OALA could adopt a relaxed income and assets limit. Secretary. Now, under the COP, the Commission on Poverty, there will be a subcommittee dedicated to the issues like universal retirement protection and social security. It will be chaired by the Chief Secretary for Administration. The Commission will look into the whole system as soon as possible, including this new scheme. And 1 year on, we're going to report back to LegCo and see if there is room to improve the scheme. Ms. Emily Lau. Chairman, I think the administration is really outrageous. After the chairman was just elected, the administration sent letters to the committee requesting for meetings and extra sessions of the Finance Committee. Well, why don't you be LegCo members? I'm not just talking about the secretary. I'm talking about the whole administration. So when a member moves a motion to reprimand the administration, I think that this is, well, in effect, not sufficient. Well, Chairman, I hope that in the future, when you exercise your discretion, please don't give the administration this impression that you can casually exercise your discretion with the support of just a couple of dozen of members. There is no need to have extra sessions. You talk about fiscal discipline, and you said that the retrospective effective date could be set in October only if the approval is given in October. This gives us an impression that you can do whatever you want and you're just bullying members. Now, on the 10th, you came to have a meeting with the Democratic Party, and at that time, we said that there had not yet been any public consultation. We asked if the DP organized for a community forum or a consultation forum, would you attend? You agreed at once, and then later on, when I said that a forum would be held in the streets of Tai Po, you said that you wouldn't come. You'd come to LegCo instead. And Secretary, you went back on your words on such a trivial thing, and we were all stunned. Chairman, for elderly people aged 70 or above, they should be exempted from the means test or the declaration requirement. Mr. Wong Kwok Heng made quite a noise just now, but the problems could linger on, as suggested by him. So you should perhaps exempt the income and asset declaration requirement. Well, this should be a transitional measure. You talk about a dedicated subcommittee. We really hope that you could take a focused approach on universal retirement protection scheme. I hope that this can be done in a few years so that this OALA can be a transitional measure to URP. Even Mr. Lam Wun Kwong supported it. If you look at the surveys, most of the academics in Hong Kong support universal retirement protection. So Why can't CY Leung come out and say that this is a transitional measure? Secretary, why can't you do this? Why can't you make this important step for Hong Kong? Secretary, may I give a brief response? Well, it was done very hastily, not because we wanted to pose extra workload on members. Well, like I explained before, on the 10th of July, during the last term, members urged me to submit papers to LegCo as soon as possible. A member even said that if you were able to submit a paper, we'll be able to approve the proposal right away. So we have submitted this proposal as soon as possible. It is the common aspiration among the public that help should be given to 400,000 elders as soon as possible. Chairman, my question is, shouldn't you respect the procedures of LegCo? Well, we have followed the procedures. On the 10th, you elected the chairman. On the 9th, we prepared the paper. We wrote a letter to the committee, and then afterwards we submitted a paper, and then we had the public hearings, and we tried to make use of the minimum time allowed for us to do all the preparation work. And we make good use of the time. As soon as members were sworn in, and I met each and every one of the members, including you, and we explained that this proposal to members because we really wanted to help the 400,000 elderly people. Mr. Lau Wong Fat. Thank you, Chairman. Well, I will be a beneficiary under this proposal. I need to declare my interest here. The Old Age Living Allowance is a long-term measure. It will not be withdrawn even in times of economic downturn or reduced public revenue. So we need to be careful. Just like in the United States, the pension schemes would not be scrapped even if the funds had suffered great losses. So I support the means test for the sake of easing the burden of the our younger generation. Next, Mr. Alan Leung. Thank you, Chairman. Now, on behalf of the Civic Party, in relation to Chairman, your exercising of discretion in approving the conduct of this Finance Committee meeting, we express dismay. First of all, because Chairman, you should uphold the dignity of the Finance Committee. Last Friday, members supported the adjournment motion. Members read carefully the FCP or the ROP and understood that 5 days notice requirement was required before another meeting could be held. Next, yesterday, when the public hearing was over, we said we need to have sufficient time to discuss with the administration so that the administration will not cheat the elderly. However, because, Chairman, you had exercised this discretion, we lost this opportunity. And also, despite how members voted last Friday on the adjournment motion, the wish of members were not realized.
Secondly, you are accommodating Mr. C.Y. Leung's, plan to rush this proposal through, and we're actually cheating the audience or watching the meeting today. I can tell the senior citizens who are watching now that if you accept the $2,200, you're not going to have universal retirement protection.
At the welfare panel meeting yesterday, I asked Mr. Matthew Cheung the question, and he did not answer the question directly. My question was whether or not you could say it, give a guarantee to the senior citizens watching through the television screen that by 2014, when we reach a peak for when the number of senior citizens reach its maximum number, can you ensure that we can go through the next 10 years smoothly? Can you tell the young people who are now working now that by the peak period of 2030 and 2041, not only the government can help maintain your parents, it will also look after the parents of your colleagues and your neighbors, and we can do so just relying on the OALA. The Secretary did not answer my question, dare not answer the question. Chairman, if you exercise your discretion in this manner today so that C.Y. Leung's administration will have its way, he's lying to the people of Hong Kong. To successfully force this proposal through LegCo will not let the weak administration under C.Y. Leung to become a strong administration. Before the meeting, I saw Mrs. Carrie Lam, the Secretary for Administration, who was standing outside he was standing outside on the second floor of this chamber, and he was giving an interview, and his appearance was really quite an impression. Not only was she continuing to lie to the senior citizens, and she had no qualms about it, and she said that if the proposal were not approved tonight, then you will have to explain it to the senior citizens why they're not able to collect the double amount of old age allowance. Now, you can all look at me now and remember this. The power is in the hands of the Secretary. The power is in the hands of Mr. C.Y. Leung, our CE. The so-called need to have this approved before October 31st because the citizens will get double the amount of OAA is a lie fabricated by the CE. Many people have pointed this out. For example, when civil servants have the salaries increased, it could be retrospective back to 6 months earlier. In order to the C.Y. Leung, in order for his personal, prestige, he resorted to lying to us and lying to the senior citizens. But remember, if you collect $2,200, you're not going to have universal retirement protection. We support Dr. Fernando Cheung's proposal for an adjournment debate, and we will not support the approval of this proposal today. Mr. Jeffrey Lam, there are several hundred thousands of senior citizens waiting to collect the OALA. I understand that they're all very anxious. If we could, pay them a month earlier, it would be a month earlier that they would benefit. I hope that we can first approve this approval and then continue to discuss the issue. It doesn't mean that once we approve the proposal, it cannot be further amended. So on behalf of the senior citizens, I would appeal to all honourable members to approve the proposed funding as soon as possible. Chairman, some people claim that they want to help people who have assets exceeding $180,000 and fight for the interest. Tomorrow, some people may argue that they want to help the new arrivals to Hong Kong, those who have not yet stayed for 7 years, and the day after tomorrow they will say $2,200 are not enough and that they would need to be topped up further. In that case, there will be no end to this debate, and the funding will never be approved. If the pie is made bigger and bigger, then all the senior citizens who are looking forward to the OALA will have to wait for much longer. There are still many problems in Hong Kong that we need to resolve. We're not short of funds, but how we spend our funds is also something that we should be concerned about. Well, this is not a one-off allocation. It is a long-term policy. We all know that our population is steadily aging, and medical and welfare expenses are also increasing every year. So we need to allocate public funds and spend it appropriately, even though we have very rich reserves. But we also need to consider whether or not we need to spend all our money, or should we spend part of it so that our future generation would not have to bear such a heavy burden. If we spend all our reserves so that when our future generation take over, there will be no money left, would this be fair to them? Chairman, I'd like to go back to the application procedure. The Secretary said that the procedure would not be very complicated. They will only need to put in a simple application. Now, after the declaration, if certain problems arise, how would you deal with them? How would you take random checks? I've heard from colleagues and people from the public that should problems be identified in the course of the random checks, will these people be severely punished? And finally, if allocation could be made as soon as possible, then the senior citizens will be able to receive the new OALA in March, and also they will be getting about close to $13,000 if this is backdated to October 1st, and I think this is good for the senior citizens. Chairman, I'd like to talk about declaration by the senior citizens. What is most important is that the information declared is honest. We work on the basis of an honest system. But if they deliberately want to lie and cheat, we can check that. But if the mistake were made out of negligence, then we will deal with it leniently. Chairman, 2 points here. In order to launch the OALA scheme, we have a streamlined procedure. There is also the automatic transfer mechanism for the 290,000 senior citizens. We'll pay them the OALA in March. A year from now, they will make a new declaration. We have a convenient arrangement. That is, once the scheme is approved, and within a period of 2 years, that is until September 31st, 2014, there will be a grace period during which the senior citizens, if they find that the economic situation has changed, it will not affect their eligibility to continue to receive the OALA. After they made the declaration in March 2014, eligible senior citizens will, after that grace period, continue to collect the OALA. So there is this grace period in place. Third year after we've implemented the scheme, that is from March 2015, there will be a review mechanism. We'll take random checks, and also we have been cross-checking information together with other departments. After these random checks, we'll check the pay documents and seek further clarifications. If the senior citizens deliberately try to hide information from us or leave out certain information, then they will be in breach of the law. But if they have a reasonable explanation, that as in the past we have dealt with such cases in a lenient manner, and that has all along been the arrangement. Mr. Leung Yu Chung, Chairman, I'd like to follow up on what the Secretary said earlier. First of all, he said that he is aiming at getting this proposal approved as soon as possible. We also would like to do that. All along, we've been saying that the CSSA payment is too low; it's not able to alleviate the problem of poverty. We hope the Secretary will adjust upwards the CSSA payment, and that the entire CSSA system should be reviewed so that we can really tackle the problem of poverty. Unfortunately, Mr. Secretary, you have been delaying and delaying. There had not been any review except adjustment according to inflation. So are you really that anxious to help the citizens as quickly as possible? During the last term, we urged you to work faster. Looking at the minutes of our meeting of July the 10th, there was in fact no discussion of the so-called OALA. And there was no discussion about the Old Age Living Allowance. If members had ask you to expedite things. What we wanted you to do was to resolve the problem of long-term old age retirement protection. You took our words out of context and said that we urge you to get this passed as soon as possible. Well, actually, it's true that we asked you to resolve two problems. First of all, the CSSA system, and secondly, retirement protection. It's not the OALA that we are discussing today. It didn't exist at that time even. How can you take our words out of context? How could you distort what we meant? What do you mean when you say you try to get this done as soon as possible? You are simply trying to resurrect the credibility of your administration and that of Mrs. C.Y. Leung. And this is what you are really trying to do as quickly as possible. You put it very well. That is, in your API, you say, I think the important thing is that the senior citizens don't understand the whole issue. That's why you want to explain your position through the API. It's exactly because of this that we need more time to discuss this issue. But you want to rush us through. We only elected our chairman on the 16th, and you want us to endorse this by the 26th. We didn't even have enough time to this issue. How could the community really understand the full details of the issue? Many senior citizens don't even know or understand the difference between fruit money, the OAA and the OALA. What's the difference between making and not making a declaration? You know the public is not clear, and you proceeded to broadcast this API. You're not explaining the content of the proposal. You're just telling people that they are eligible to collect the OALA. You're misleading the public because we haven't even discussed the issue, and you've already created this fait accompli. Is the administration acting in a just and fair manner? What we are criticizing you or the administration is that we need to be honest. We can sit down and discuss all the issues, but you're not talking to us. You just inform us of this fact, and you're forcing us to approve it. You're putting us on the spot. If we refuse to approve this, we'll become sinners. We are putting us members against the senior citizens. So we care about the senior citizens. We want to resolve the problem. We share the common goal. But then you only care about your own credibility rather than really trying to resolve the problem of poverty. You're not really respecting the senior citizens. You don't even, furthermore, you don't respect this council. So we are made simply a rubber stamp, and we are asked to do whatever you tell us to do, and we are asked to attend meeting at any time you want us to, and approve whatever you want us to approve. We don't have any rights to even propose any amendments. So has our council really stooped to such a low level? This is really regrettable. Furthermore, you have not answered many of our questions. For example, I've asked you many times the question, that is, where does the extra funding for this scheme come from? You're talking about $6 billion odd. Mr. Leung, would you like a response? So where does the money come from? And how is this going to be sustainable? Do you like the Secretary to answer your question? I would like him to answer all these questions during my second round. I'd like to first of all express my own views first. Mr. Wu Chi-wai, the Secretary said that he wants to get the OALA scheme approved as soon as possible. And before we have come to a decision, you're already widely publicizing the scheme through the television API. You've assumed that we would agree to your approval and that we will not be amending your proposal. But at the panel discussion, we always ask whether or not the Secretary could have this scheme retrospective and backdated to an earlier time. The Secretary said definitely that this would not be possible. So why you work in such a hurry? It's because you need to recruit people to implement the scheme. You need to upgrade your computer system. We've heard you say this many times. But these technical problems, or do these technicalities, are these technicalities enough to justify asking this council to approve such a major proposal within the course of 10 days? So, Mr. Secretary, you're adopting a double standard here. On the one hand, you can put the API, broadcast the API as soon as possible, create a fait accompli, while at the same time, you're not willing to extend the period for which the scheme could be made retrospective. At our meeting, there are always three parts. We ask whether or not you can provide for a blanket waiver. That is a request put forward by the FTU, or the request by the Democratic Party that you follow the OAA system and that you exempt those over the age of 70. Secretary, of course, you insist that all people applying, receiving the allowance should be subject to a means test. So actually, if you're familiar with the computer system, you know that there's I think you can deal with these changes with a very simple program, computer program. I don't know whether or not I can clarify this point, because Muchiwai referred to the proposal by the FTU. I think what we're proposing is contrary to what you've said. We are asking that those over the age of 70 should be exempted from the means test. I think, Mr. Wong Kok-Hing, I think you have a chance to further clarify when it's your turn. Mr. Wu. Secretary, we've always been saying the discussion on the OALA, so long as you allow us more time for more discussion, then I don't think we will be stuck in this deadlock. When we go out to the community, we learn that this proposal has created, a difference between LegCo and the community, and also you're creating division among senior citizens at large. So I hope the Secretary will think about this. Thirdly, the question of universal retirement protection. We're now facing the problem of an aging population. We've been talking about universal retirement protection for a long time. On different occasions, the Secretary had said that there would be discussion on the subject, and that we could explore the possibility. However, at the meeting, many members think that over a long period of time, we are very worried as to how sincere the government or the Secretary are. At the last meeting, I asked whether or not there could be a compromise. For example, provide for a sunset clause so that, first of all, we approve the proposal that those over the age of 70 will not need to go through a means test. We stick to the OAA system. The Council will arrive at a consensus regarding universal retirement protection, and then we find a solution to the funding problem regarding how we can, tackle the population of an aging population. Why is it, Mr. Secretary, that you've not considered our proposals and instead decide to force this through? I think members will understand that the purpose of the scheme
is to help those needy senior citizens. And I don't think we should link it with the universal retirement protection. The two are totally different things. It would be very complicated if we lump them together. We are dealing with a straightforward scheme which will immediately help hundreds of thousands of senior citizens. As simple as that. Now, we didn't ignore what you said on many occasions. We said that all these will be followed up. The retirement protection will be followed up and addressed. Mr. Raymond Chan. Chairman, I am a member of the Welfare Services Panel. Over the past week or so, we've asked so many questions. The Secretary answered to all these questions We have been hearing repeated replies. I mean, the Secretary sounds as if he is a broken record. We feel ourselves to be like broken records. You've been answering the same questions over and over again. I'm going to ask a true or false question of the administration. There are three, in fact. First of all, false consultation, false compassion, false crisis. Now, in terms of false crisis, the government is creating a false impression that if FC didn't endorse the funding, the senior citizens will not be able to get the pay for October. Now, this is the SAR government from Carrie Lam to this secretary. They have been inculcating this into the senior citizens. Secretary, is it the case that if we do not endorse the funding, the OALA for October will not be payable? Is it the case? Or is it the case that you don't have the final say? It would be for CY Leung to say whether these will be payable. Even if we put it back to next week or the week after next, this is still negotiable. Is it a false crisis? That's question number one. Second, false consultation. We had 80 deputations at the Welfare Services panel. 90% of them objected to the means test. The Secretary was very frank and honest yesterday, and he said that he listened to the views, and not because he wanted them to amend or modify his proposal with. It's just that these deputations provide you an opportunity for you to air your views again. Now these people have to take time off work, and they are regarded as a backdrop. Is it the case? Third, many senior citizens are very concerned. They suffer from family problems, family disputes, and they're worried about being arrested by the police and so on. Many people are very worried, and they're so worried that they worry themselves sick. Don't you have any tinge of guilt in this regard? The first question, in the paper, we have made it very clear. Paragraph 16 is very important. We propose to set the effective date on the first day of the month, FC approval. Paragraph 16 has made it very clear, but the paper is not alive. Well, Mr. C.Y. Leung made it very clear this morning, our position, which is very clear. This is a very special arrangement. Normally, we do not allow any retrospective effect. Now, we have this special arrangement. We like to make it convenient for the senior citizens. So there will be no, there will be no. Yes or no? No, the answer is no. The second question, consultation. Perhaps you don't understand the electoral system. The public hearing is not arranged by the government. It is the electoral that made the arrangement. You have to make it very clear. If you've been here long enough, you understand how it works. Third, we are genuinely concerned about the senior citizens, not false compassion. We'd like to help the hundreds of thousands of senior citizens as soon as possible. Why don't you let us have a chance? Mr. Chen, you still have time. So you are forcing the LegCo to have all these public hearings, and you are laying the blame on LegCo. Now, they came here on Saturdays. I mean, do we have to do away with all these public hearings in the future? Because we are deceiving all these people. They take time off, the senior citizens. They come all the way to the LegCo secretary. Every time we have public hearing, we attach importance to them. This is a two-way street. They will be able to have a dialogue with government officials, and we will be able to listen to views from different strata of the community. We've had 80 deputations. They came with different opinions. They're very diverse, for and against. We're only delighted to listen to them. Mr. Leung. Chairman, thank you. At the Welfare Services panel, I think I have already stated my views. Of course, there are still many questions that remain outstanding at the Welfare Service Panel. Some members propose an adjournment of the discussion, and as a result, at the last Finance Committee meeting, we couldn't have any discussion, which was regrettable. This evening, we have to sit here again for this proposal. Some members said that they would stall the matter till November and December. I think we cannot shy away from the fact that we have to look at this proposal. I hope the members will be more sensible and spend their time putting questions and scrutinizing this proposal of the administrations. The administration keeps asking us to discuss the issue, and some issues have already been clarified. I bumped into senior citizens or younger members of the public on the street, and they keep raising this question as to whether there should be any means test. Some argue in favor, some would find this too much of a trouble. Now, these has given rise to controversy. As taxpayers, of course, if we have means test, it certainly would be able to make sure that the public revenue will be safeguarded. I hope very much the administration will tread carefully in this regard, so that the senior citizens will not have any inconvenience caused to them. I urge the administration to release the OALA as soon as possible. Now, the administration cited some technical problems which would have a time constraint. Now, this will not be made available until March next year. I hope that the administration would give us a concrete reply. Is it really truly the technical difficulties that you're making LegCo take the decision in such a short period of time? The Secretary said that it would take time to hire people. The tendering will be subject to a particular time frame, and they have to leave it until March. And also, you wouldn't be able to upgrade the computer system until next spring. I hope the Secretary or the Director will elaborate to us in detail. Now, there will be 100 or so people who will be hired. How long is it going to take you? If we endorse this tonight, you can get started with your work tomorrow. How soon are you going to be able to hire these 100 people? Also, you're going to commission the contractors to upgrade the computer system. With which to release the money. How long do you think it's going to take you to invite tender? I mean, can't this be done over Christmas? Why does it have to be done over the spring time? So I hope that you would be more specific in this regard to Mr. Secretary. I get the feeling that the senior citizens do have an urgent need. Why the delays, Secretary? Well, indeed, we have telescoped the entire process. Normally, it would take 6 months. Now, we're talking about 4 months or so. Perhaps the Director can elaborate further. Director? Well, yes, Mr. Leung talked about the timetable for preparation. Indeed, we have compressed the whole process. If the funding is endorsed in November, December, January, and February, we're going to have 4 months to play with. Now, in early January, we have to start to issue the notification to the 290,000 senior citizens who will be on this auto conversion scheme, and we have to print the application forms and the letters, and we have to liaise with the Social Security Division. All these forms and letters will carry the personal particulars of the recipients, so we have to do the cross-checking, and we have to make this arrangement first, so that if the senior citizens are not in compliance with the requirements, they have to notify us, and we will transfer the senior citizens onto the new scheme. That's why we need all this time to get this done without affecting the work of the Social Security divisions. So every step will be intertwined, and this will enable us to launch this in March. Mr. Peter Zhang. Chairman, thank you. Just a moment ago, the Secretary Secretary read out to us the minutes of the Welfare Services Panel of the last term. I haven't read through the minutes myself. Now, I've done so just now. Perhaps I'd like to take this opportunity to clarify with the Secretary about what the Secretary said and also what members said. Now, there wasn't any motion regarding the allowance for the senior citizens, and Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen raised the question, and you said you were prepared to answer, and that activated the discussion. According to the minutes, paragraph 14, Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen said that the Labour Party is of the view that instead of launching a new allowance, the administration should rather consider doing something about the CSSA and the old age allowance, and he combined the two. So that the senior citizens who are not on CSSA will be able to benefit. And also the monthly allowance should be raised to $3,000 per month. In the long run, though, there should be universal pension scheme. And that is what I quoted from the minutes. The Secretary's response is very good. He said that he would seriously consider Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen's proposal. In paragraph 17, and let me quote for you, Mr. Wang Xingqi said that the government should launch the scheme as soon as possible. Otherwise, the scheme should be backdated to the 1st of July 2012. He added that in the longer term, the administration should launch an allowance for the senior citizens for $3,000. Now, the $3,000 was mentioned again, and this would help with their daily life. In paragraph 19, the Secretary gave the undertaking that he would not rule out this possibility, i.e. the retrospective effect. Now, from this dialogue, we get to see that what we are concerned about is not so much $2,200, but rather we are concerned about the livelihood of the senior citizens, whether the $2,200 will be able to support them. I've done some simple calculation. The Secretary said once that for a single senior citizen on CSSA, he would get $4,710 on average, in which 133 for rent, 1,335 for rental. In other words, 3,300 would be left for their daily expenses. Now, we're talking about an asset limit of $186,000. This is the cap below which they can apply for this. And if you take away these $2,200 will be taken away out of the $4,710 or $3,370. You have to take away the amount of money. If you work this out on this basis, then this will last them for 40 or 50 months. I mean, within this time, they will be exhausting this $186,000. How did you compute the $2,200? The Secretary said that this is doubling the existing amount. Is it the case that Mr. C.Y. Leung cited the $2,200 in his manifesto, and that there is no room for change? Now, if you look at the dignity of the senior citizens, $2,200 would not be sufficient, and they have to dig deeper into their own pocket. How deep a pocket do they have to dig into? Now, how did you arrive at the $2,200? And also, do you think that with the $2,200, how long do you think the $186,000 will be lasting them for? Secretary, I think you've taken me out of context. Para 22, let me read you this. Now, for the means test under the new scheme, Mr. Lee Chuk-yen and Mr. Peter Cheung asked between 65 and the 69, and would the threshold for means test be the same as those beyond 70? And also para 24, the Secretary urged the administration to launch this scheme before December 2012. I think you have to make this clear. At that time, you subscribe to this threshold. The yardstick would remain the same, 65 to 69. And also, this should be done before the end of this year. We are exactly moving in this direction in response to your aspiration. Secretary, if we go on like this, I beg your pardon, I am merely telling the members of the public that, Mr. Cheung, will you save it for the next round? Mr. Abraham Sheck, well, you have having a hard time, Secretary. I think you are doing a good deed. I mean, this is being turned into something bad. I think we have to review why it has to be happening like this. I've been a LegCo member for 12 years. I think it is only right to support the government policy to develop the economy, to identify land, and also to support government policies which are beneficial to the public. Over the past 12 years, I've never had this kind of experience. Do I have to support the government? I get the feeling that this scheme will be endorsed because of our support, but the government will not win. Hong Kong will lose. Now, the 400,000 senior citizens may be winning, but what about those who have $160,000 in asset? For these senior citizens who have $186,000 in their pocket, this is hard-earned money. I mean, why do you have to exclude them? The way you're dealing with the matter will make it very difficult for us to support the administration. You have polarized the whole society. For those with an asset below $166,000, I mean, you're putting them on a collision course with those who have an asset above this amount. Now, you're threatening the young people. You are scaring the young people that they're going to have to be saddled with a huge financial burden. Now, this is traditional Chinese custom. With a senior citizen at home, it would be like having some treasure at home. Why do you have to say all you said to project this idea? Now, there are many over the age of 60. They have made tremendous contribution to our society. That the DAB gave you a graceful way out, and that is to impose the asset limit of $300,000. The Liberal Party proposes half a million. There should be means test, but I don't think this threshold, should be drawn so arbitrarily. I mean, your hardline attitude will not win you any hearts and minds. I think you have lost hearts and minds. Except perhaps the $400,000 who would be able to benefit from it. One of these days, they may feel that their fellow citizens will not be able to get anything at all. Those who are in need, now you said that the community needs all this. Now, why do you have to draw a line at $186,000? Those beyond this level will not be able to get anything at all.
Secretary, I believe that this is a good deed, but your policy has a huge impact on the society as a whole. This good deed has turned bad. You can see that this matter has been politicized to such an extent. We are having such a row here. Well, that wasn't the case in the past for LegCo. All political parties support policies that benefit the public. So, Secretary, you should really think it through. Well, if this proposal is endorsed this time, you should think about how the senior citizens having assets above $186,000 can be helped. This is their coffin money. They may prefer different types of burial. They may want to get a better coffin. So why draw a line at 186,000? So this time, Secretary, I support the 400,000 senior citizens this time. I don't support you or the administration. And also, who set down the rule? It's law made for man, not man made for law, according to the Bible. Who says that the proposal has to be voted on tonight? So how can you make such mean remarks? So this time I give my support because I agree that these 400,000 senior citizens should get the fruit money. But I think that this is the failure of Hong Kong for such policy to be implemented. Mr. Chen. Chairman, well, I really admire Mr. Abraham Shack's logic. Well, he criticized the administration, but in the end, he supports the administration, and he said that throughout 12 years he hadn't been asked to use his brain, so he was being very frank. Chairman, well, this time round obviously is a popularity project of Mr. C.Y. Leung with the help of LegCo. It shows how hegemonic the executive is, and it really angers us. And the pro-establishment members are aiding the administration. Even if this policy is mean, they are supporting it nevertheless. Now, in formulating policy, it's so ridiculous. We haven't seen many examples as such in the past. Usually we will have consultation and also consultation papers. And it usually will be included in the policy address and the budget, because before drafting the PA and the budget, the departments will have made the relevant studies and conducted relevant consultations. And this policy is modeled on C.Y. Leung's election manifesto. I don't know how it has come by. Well, Secretary, you understood very well that this matter has been debated on in the Council for many years. Our elderly people cannot wait. Very often, they waited for surgeries, but in the end, they couldn't get their chance to surgery before they died. So in setting priorities, have you really thought it through? And also priorities for the use of public money, because public money is limited. During the election, C.Y. Leung made up his mind on certain policies. I don't know how these ideas had floated in his mind. Why 2,200 instead of 3,200? A line of poverty hasn't yet been drawn. And why is it that senior citizens aged 70 or above are subject to the means test? It has not adhered to the established practice of public policy formulation. It all has to do with his popularity ratings. His rating is the lowest among the several chief executives. We anticipated that after he became elected, he would start giving cash handouts, 5,000, 6,000, but in the end he opted for a policy for the elderly. He's making use of this policy to save his popularity rating. So in terms of how ridiculous this policy is and the means test mechanism, we on such basis we strongly oppose the proposal. Well, I have questions for you, Secretary, on behalf of the elderly. Now, joint accounts. Many elderly people have joint accounts with their family members. Very often, the money in the accounts belong to the children rather than the elderly. So how? Now, say I have an example. There, in a joint account, there is over $1 million, but most of the money belongs to the daughter. So how can you ask the elderly to make a declaration? The other point about assets is that an elderly person told me that he got a bequeathed painting from Zhang Daqian, and definitely that painting would worth an amount exceeding 186,000. So how can you tell me whether he is eligible? Director. Referring to Mr. Chan's case, this is a voluntary declaration mechanism on the incomes and assets of the applicants. Now, for joint accounts, say, for example, the applicant will be deemed to have half of the assets in the account unless the applicant himself has declared the actual amount. We'll then assess the case on this basis. As for assets, cash, bank deposits, investments, and also valuable property like gold bars and so on will be counted towards part of his assets. As for family items and other heirlooms, family heirlooms, and these will be assessed accordingly. Please wait for your next round, Ms. Chen Yunhan. Secretary, please be brief in your answer. I won't put a long question to you. Let's just get the facts clear. Chairman, last Monday he attended LegCo as he wanted to introduce a new policy. He wanted the LegCo's approval. And many deputations he knew would be concerned about this new policy, this Old Age Living Allowance. And naturally, many deputations attended the public hearing. Tuesday, it was the public holiday. And then there was the Chongyang Festival. And then we had a public hearing on Thursday. And eventually, some 90 deputations registered. So, Secretary, why is it that on Thursday, during the questions and answers time, you still insist that it be carried out? Well, you said that it was an interactive public hearing. You said that you'd be happy to take on views and follow up on the suggestions. And what about the time? Well, you forced us to. You gave us no alternative but to move an adjournment motion, and because of this adjournment motion, everything stopped. So, Secretary, to exercise your common sense, Monday you floated this proposal, Tuesday public holiday, and then Wednesday arrangements were made, and Thursday public hearing. Are you trying to put the blame on LegCo? Are you trying to put the blame on the labor sector? So this is just a brief question. Why is it that the proposal had to be discussed on Friday? Secretary, our original goal is to submit the proposal to FC on the 26th. Yes, that was what your original plan, but the reality is that there were 90 deputations. Yes, I was grateful. Yes, you were grateful, and we had a very tight schedule. And on that day, I said, if necessary, I'd be happy to extend the public hearing. But the point is, there were still 50 deputations outstanding. Well, why didn't you tell us on Thursday that, right, I'll go back and reconsider it. I will make it easy for chairman and also chair of the panel. Why didn't you say that you could wait until today? Because in such a way we can save a lot of troubles. We could have withdrawn the adjournment motion. So, Secretary, what is it that you want? Do you want to see no cooperation between the executive and the legislature? I emphasize that I attach importance to our relations with the Legislative Council. Well, that night I said, if necessary, the meeting could be extended, and then you suggested that we should wait for the public hearing. No, please go back, listen to the recording. I never said that. We urged you to postpone the proposal until after Friday. Chairman, I am quite agitated because I am the chair of the WSP. I've spent just some 3 minutes. So please tell the public it's your fault. You make us. You force us to move an adjournment motion. No, I did not. But that's the reality, because 50 deputations had yet to be received on Thursday. So we were forced to move the adjournment motion. No, just now you said it was an interactive public hearing. You were happy to take on views. But now it's not. You say otherwise. But through this public hearing, we were also given the opportunity to state the administration's position and explain our purpose. Well, actually, you are wrong. You have been wrong. You made the wrong move. You force us to move an adjournment motion as we had no alternative. You also make it difficult for chairman. Are you trying to drive a wedge between the LegCo secretary? I emphasize that I do not have this intention. Mr. Tam Yu-chung. Chairman, first I'd like to say a few words in all fairness to you, Chairman, for the exercise of discretion. Now, just now, Assembly Lau criticized you, but according to some media reports, in fact, on the 14th of July this year, the Democratic Party and some members of the public marched to the CE's office and the government headquarters, urging C.Y. Leung to implement the special OAA allowance as soon as possible, and that the special FC should be held after the election in September for approving the funding proposal. And the Civic Party member, Mr. Alan Leung, criticized you. He said that as the adjournment motion had been passed, you nevertheless exercised your discretion to conduct another meeting. You did not pay heed to the wishes of members. However, that day, after the adjournment motion was carried, you immediately sought members' views. Some members said that although the member supported the adjournment motion, he or she was also of the view that another meeting should be held on Tuesday. Of course, that night, there were members who were impatient. They didn't want to hear other members' views, and yet you carried on to seek other members' views on this matter. So before you exercised your discretion, you had considered the views of members. So, Chairman, you have been very fair. We have chosen the right candidate. Now, some members criticize that this policy only aims at saving the chief executive's popularity. But if this is a good deed, and if as a result the administration enjoys high popularity, the DAB won't mind, because the public will benefit from it. We feel that this is a good deed, but there is room for improvement. Just now, Ms. Starry Lee talked about the income and assets limit. the views of the public on this matter are diverse, and there is room for improvement, and our fellow member has already given some suggestions. I hope that the administration would consider these views. I hope that after the discussion this evening, this matter could be put to a vote. If we delay it further, tomorrow we have the council meeting, and any further delay would mean a delay to a good deed. Many senior citizens, I believe, are either watching or the TV or listening to the radio and waiting for our decision. So I hope that the matter can be voted on. A decision could be reached tonight, no matter how late it is. Ms. Sitho. Chairman, thank you. Well, this proposal is a divide in the community. The administration has held the elderly people as hostage. They forced us to approve this proposal tonight. Otherwise, these elderly people won't get to $1,000. On the other hand, there are other elderly people who have assets exceeding 186,000, and they won't be able to get this OALA. After C.Y. Leung was elected, he floated this proposal. It was a good deed. However, why was there no regard to the council's procedure? The intention was good, but on the other hand, the administration is proposing the income and assets declaration requirement. Secretary, in fact, the notification letter is a trap for the elderly people. They won't be able to handle the declaration. And 2 years on, they might be chosen for a random check, and they might be caught inadvertently by the law. In fact, this year during the election, my fellow colleagues, many in the 80s or 90s generation, also got the letters, and they didn't know how to deal with the letter, and in the end they failed to reply to your letter, Secretary, and they lost their right to vote. So there is a consequence if no reply is given. The people may be criminally liable. Secretary, you said that the approach is a liberal one, so please explain to us if the person, if the senior citizen has not received your letter at all, and if he has assets exceeding $186,000, what will happen? Or would you rather tell us that the administration is trying to boost popularity, and therefore they have proposed this so-called convenient policy? Now, I have this with me, a opinion poll conducted by Professor Zhong from Polytechnic University, and 80% of the respondents among the 1,032 were in favor of a universal retirement protection scheme, and through all walks of life, through different age groups, among different age groups, the percentage ranged from 79 to 84 to over 90%. So, Secretary, just now you said that you met with all the political parties and members in trying to forge a consensus. Secretary, have you made any concessions? What consensus have we reached? The the only thing you said was that a review would be conducted 1 year later. Even for the members from the pro-establishment camp, the DAB suggests that the income and assets limit should be raised to 300,000, but you wouldn't budge. So please explain to me what you meant by consensus. Is it your kind of consensus instead of the consensus according to my understanding?
Let me first deal with the technical. Ask the director to answer the technical question. Thank you, Ms. Sid, for the question. For the 200,000 senior citizens who can collect the OALA through an automatic transfer, these are people already collecting the OAA, or while they were between the age of 65 and 69, they had actually already made a declaration. So under the scheme, we have a special arrangement, and we will consider them to be eligible. But in early January, we still need to send them a letter so that the senior citizens, if they say that they've exceeded the limit or they want to join the scheme, they can give us the indication. Otherwise, we will transfer the money to them. The second point is that 2 months after the commencement of the scheme, there will be a grace period. If the economic situation of the citizens change during those 2 years, it will not affect the eligibility. And in March 2014, these citizens will have to make a new declaration by post. And if they're not eligible, then after the end of September 2014, only then will they stop receiving the allowance. So there's no problem as far as the transitional period is concerned. What about the question of consensus, Mr. Sin Chung Kai? Chairman, I'd like to refer to Annex 4 of the paper, where you say that in 2012, according to your proposal, if there is a means test in place, the additional funding will be 6.2 billion. For if there's a means test for those over the age of 70, it's 9.9 billion. Difference is 3.7 billion. By 2017, it's 7.7 billion. If there's no means test, it's 8.8 billion. Projecting for these 5 years, from 2011 to 2017. 2016, the whole scheme will cost 41.7 billion. Without the means test, we will need an additional 24 billion. So my question, Chairman, is this. The Chairman said that the government is determined that it would implement this scheme as soon as possible, and then will explore the question of universal retirement protection. If we are going to have the OALA system in place, it will replace the Old Age Retirement Scheme. For the first 5 years, will the government consider exempting those over the age of 70 the requirement for a means test? If the government cannot achieve or implement the universal retirement scheme protection, then of course during Mr. C.Y. Leung's 5-year term, if we could, implement comprehensive retirement scheme, we can replace the OALA scheme. The maximum cost is 24 billion compared with the original scheme. This can help you implement the government's policy to implement the retirement protection scheme. At the same time, you can, you don't have to, cope with scenarios like Mr. Albert Chen said about the senior citizen who has in possession painted by a famous master. So I'd like to ask the Secretary whether he would consider my proposal. It will kill 2 birds with 1 stone. On the one hand, you can, respond to the aspirations of many people, while at the same time, you don't have to you don't have to worry that without the means test, if you rely on this scheme by 2014, the government will not be able to cope. If the government is confident that you can implement a comprehensive retirement scheme within 4 years, you don't have to worry. All you need is to provide for a sunset clause. Regarding the scenario of the senior citizen who owns a painting, Mr. Sin, the purpose of the scheme is to help those elderly citizens who are in need. This is not a comprehensive retirement protection scheme. Mr. C.Y. Leung already at his speech in LegCo said that this is not the starting point of a universal retirement protection scheme. These are two separate issues. I understand that the people in Hong Kong are concerned about the need to look after the senior citizens, and that's why we will do some preparatory work on the part of the Poverty Commission. Chairman, I'm proposing that I give you 5 years. If you can't even do it within 5 years, then you can deal with it by a sunset clause after 5 years. I'm giving you 5 years. Well, it's easier said than done when you mention sunset clause. Once you provided these welfare benefits, you cannot scrap it. If you're determined to implement a universal retirement scheme, protection scheme, you don't need the OALA. I don't think we should confuse the two. There are certain things which in the short term we can provide immediate relief to several 100,000 senior citizens, and this is our major starting point. It's not that we don't attach importance to universal retirement protection. The administration of this term will continue to follow up on this, including the task group, under the Poverty Commission, and also we will be setting a poverty line. What about the scenario regarding the expensive painting? We'll be happy to answer questions regarding individual scenarios, but the principle in general is that if the senior citizen possesses certain objects with commemorative value, of course we can discard that. But of course, if we sell such assets and the proceeds he received will count as part of his assets. Dr. Kok K. Chairman, I think this is really a shameful day for the Finance Committee. What you've done, Mr. Chairman, has really made many electrical members lost the confidence in this council in its role as a major gatekeeper. At the last meeting, you've said clearly that you will not exercise your discretion, and then you walked out. Of course, somebody commended you, some members have commended you. I don't know whether Mr. Tam Yu Chung, by commending you, is actually, hurting you. I think electrical has lost all its dignity in the face of this administration. The Secretary said this is a good deed, as if the special OAA or the OALA is a long-term scheme. So I'd like to ask the Secretary this. Starting from 2003 through the Central Policy Unit, conducted a very long study regarding universal retirement protection, and nothing had come out from that study up to now. Many members in this council know that universal retirement protection is not a new issue. We've been debating this for more than 20 years. It's the scholars, the academics, and the whole community have been discussing this. In the whole of Asia, including China, are now implementing universal retirement protections, starting from the urban and then spreading to the rural areas. I've never heard of other countries having, ridiculous schemes like the OAA and the OALA. You have not really, which is not the result of a detailed study. We don't know how long the government will last with this amount of money. But universal retirement protection depends on a tripartite contribution by employer, employee, and the government, and there is no need for us to have such a controversial debate on topics like the means test. We are a mature society. We have a very big, high level of GDP. We have a mature economy. I think this is the best time or during your term to implement universal retirement protection. If you miss this opportunity, we all know that it will be difficult for us to come back to this in future. And that is why we are not willing to give up universal retirement protection and have OALA to take its place instead. I'd like the Secretary to answer two questions. You've been studying the subject of universal retirement protection. Can you review the results of your study? And can you give us a solemn pledge or undertaking as to when the government will be able to implement universal retirement protection? And during the interim, is the OALA a transitional arrangement? Thank you, Dr. Kwok. I'd like to clarify that the government has never conducted any studies on universal retirement protection. The Central Policy Unit conducted a study on retirement protection. We're looking at the sustainability of those three pillars. Never mind, Chairman. You can give us that report. The Central Policy Unit has prepared 5 reports, and they've all been disclosed on the Internet. It's no secret. At the end of the year, the Census and Statistics Department, surveyed 10,000 households regarding the savings and expenditures by the senior citizens. By early next year, we will be able to see the sustainability of those 3 major pillars. Well, the new allowance that we are proposing today will enhance one of those 3 pillars, that is the Social Security system. I've mentioned that there will be a working group which will focus on studying the subject of social security protection, and secondly, retirement protection. It is our way forward that we will explore more as to how we should proceed. It doesn't mean that after we get the proposal approved today, we will do nothing else. This is a starting point. We will continue to look at the whole issue of retirement protection. Chairman, when will you implement universal retirement protection? We're very concerned about the question of retirement protection, but we've not, promised implement universal retirement protection. Chairman, I think you need to exercise good time management. We've now spent almost 2 hours. So could you tell us how many motions are now in line, waiting in line? Are we still dealing with the first motion? How do you plan to deal with those motions? We have very limited time, both the administration and members have such a lot of work to do. How can you, be more efficient? I always respect members' right to speak and the need for efficiency. We are now discussing one of the items on the agenda, and the number of members who would like to speak for the first round, I noted that there were 28. There might be more, and so far more than 20 members have already spoken, and 3 members already requested for a second round, and I don't know whether there will be more members yet who would like to speak. We've already started the 5-minute rule. Chairman, are we still discussing Dr. Fernando Zheng's motion to reprimand the administration? We haven't come to that yet. So we haven't done anything yet after such a long time. It's just, we still, I said that Dr. Fernando Zheng and Leung Kok Hong's amendment, proposed amendment for Article 37A. We will deal with them after we finish with our discussion. I don't think we are chatting here, but after all members have spoken, and when you finish, then before we vote on the proposal, we will need to deal with the motions regarding Article 70A. We haven't come to that by a long way. Well, no wonder people say that we are only a talk shop. I know that many members have views regarding the OALA, but it is also true that there are many citizens who would like this proposal approved as soon as possible. Could you be more efficient, Mr. Chairman? could you tell us how you plan to proceed? How many motions have been put forward so far? I think we're scheduled to finish at 11. We are scheduled to finish at 11 p.m. Mr. Leung Kok Hong has proposed 16 motions. It doesn't mean that he will not add more later on. I have approved 13 of those motions. Dr. Fernando Zhang has submitted one motion. I don't know, and it's not possible because I don't have a crystal ball to help to tell me whether there will be any members who will move any motions without prior notice. I think Mr. Tim Parkson had also moved a motion. So how do you plan to deal with this before 11 p.m.? Could you expedite things? I don't think I can answer your question because I don't see myself, stop forbidding members to speak. We have 60 members, and if each take 5 minutes, we will require 240 minutes, and we still have the second round. And I can't see myself not allowing members to speak for the second and third rounds. If members want to continue to speak, and so long as they don't repeat what they say, I can't predict when we're going to, stop. So if we cannot approve the proposal, then the senior citizens will not be able to collect the allowance in October. Who's going to be responsible? Well, I can't answer your question as to who is to be held responsible. Any other questions? I just want you to really expedite the proceedings. I've heard you, Mrs. Yip. Any other questions? None so far. Mr. Liu Chung Kong. Chairman, I think Mr. Secretary, I think you'll remember that a month or so ago, you had recommended this proposal to me. And I also made inquiries with you regarding the policy objective, whether or not it's a respect for the senior citizens or whether it's a measure to alleviate poverty. You said it was a letter. I said that if it were the letter, so long, if there is, it is inevitable that you needed a means test, and I indicated I would support, a declaration system with a low threshold. Mr. Secretary, I think you remember that I also expressed my view to you regarding the ceiling for income and assets. I said that I wanted all needy senior citizens will get the support. So my question for the Secretary is that the ceiling of $168,000. How did you work out that ceiling? The $168,000 is actually the ceiling for assets and income for those who apply for OAA and who are between 65 and 69. At the time we implemented OAA, we made reference to the CSSA system. We took into consideration a basket of factors, and every year ever since we would adjust the ceiling according to the Social Security, price index. So by the time this proposal was implemented, the ceiling will be more than $168,000. We will make reference of the price movement. By September, it will be up by 3-point-something%. By the time the proposal were implemented for singleton senior citizens, it will be more than $190,000. And we will have the figures by the end of December. The $280,000 will go up to 290-something. I think we'll be able to announce the figures next month. So there's a mechanism, an objective mechanism, which has worked well over the years. That is, there will be adjustments according to the ups and downs of the price level.
Martindale? Right, members. We take a break for 15 minutes. We come back at 9.